Welcome everyone to another great episode of Snap Raise Live, Leaders and Legends. We are joined by two outstanding leaders and perhaps legends. I guess they got to keep crushing it for an extended period of time, but we've got Coach Kelsey O'Connor from Montville Cheer out in New Jersey, and we've got Coach Kendall Jones from Stratford High down in Houston, Texas. We've got some other people with us. Dominique Bell from Illinois. I see Katie Carpinello from Florida and Juanisha Wilson from Virginia. We've got coaches from all over that are joining us today, and so we really appreciate you. And you know, we chose some of our best cheerleading coaches that have run campaigns with us during the coronavirus era to talk about, you know, how they were successful last year as a program, how they were able to successfully fundraise with us this year, and then what 2020 looks like for them and how excited they are for the future. So I appreciate both of you joining us, and I guess we got to start with the new mom. So we will start with Coach O'Connor, who as of May 1st had a child, a beautiful daughter. And Coach O'Connor, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
How is Riley Brianna doing?
She's doing great. She's actually right next to me right now, being nice and quiet during this entire, hopefully, webinar. But she's doing great. It's great to be a new mom in the beginning of the month here, and almost at the end. I can't believe she's going to be a month old.
I hear you. Well, what was it like managing the obligations and responsibilities of teaching and being a head cheer coach and going through pregnancy?
It was a lot, but we have a great support system, and that's what I was more than excited to share with my team, along with all the students that I teach. Kind of going through both fall and winter season, I knew it was going to be a little bit difficult. It was going to be totally different for me, but it was really enjoyable. And then going into everything that's going on right now really made it worth it. I'm very grateful for everything.
Well, we'll keep asking each of you questions as we go through this, but Coach Jones, you're no slouch. I know that you keep your plate as full as possible with FFA and all of your sports allegiances and enthusiasm. What's the past couple months been like for you?
It's been crazy. It's been very hard to not see my kiddos in person. I'm a big hugger, so seeing my babies on the screen makes it very hard. Right before spring break and this craziness began, we had cheer tryouts. We have 32 amazing girls on the cheerleading team and boy, but 21 of those cheerleaders are brand new. So building a team and getting to know each other on text messaging and Remind and Zoom has definitely been a challenge, but super proud of my kids. They've come together as a team. My captains, my leaders, my seniors, they have done a tremendous job, not only just building up our team, but our campus as a whole. It's been awesome.
Social distancing is less up my alley. I prefer social closeness and physical distancing, right? You're a hugger. I like to, you know, elbow bump, fist bump, you know, be interactive and participatory that way. So I feel you on that. So we'll stick with you. Maybe what have you found out about your squad? You're bringing in a lot of new athletes. What have you discovered about them over the past couple months that maybe the coronavirus has allowed you to discover or you might not have known otherwise?
Well, I think the main thing is their adaptability. I'm sure you guys heard about Hurricane Harvey. That's affected a lot of my kids previously, and they had to adapt to that. And it's kind of the same situation where they had to completely adapt and change what they're used to, but still get everything done. So their adaptability and dedication has been awesome. I even have some middle school kids that will be freshmen that have stepped up to the plate. They haven't even stepped into our campus yet, and they have done a tremendous job of sharing things on social media and keeping up with their team and really getting to know each other on FaceTime and Zoom. And it's been really cool to watch.
You guys have been really successful, and so is Coach O'Connor's squad at Montville. And so maintaining that culture of excellence, Coach O'Connor, and competing at a high level and doing as much as you can to prepare yourself for the upcoming season. What has that been like for you over the past couple months? And then what do the next few months look like in preparation of the upcoming season?
Pretty much everything Coach is saying too. Like, I'm such a hugger and I just want to be with my kids, like, more than anything. And so during this time, what we've been doing is we kind of have practice 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it's so hard being like on Zoom and like texting them on Remind and all of that stuff. But trying to keep our program and all the kids light at the end of the tunnel a little bit through those 3 practices a week. And it's a little different, it's a lot different, but we're really making it work, and they truly make it worth it, and they're making the best of the situation that we have. And I think besides just school, every single day, having that at the end of your school day, technically, let's say, to look forward to and seeing all their faces is really important for us to have a successful, hopefully, year in the fall and winter.
Yeah, and you've grown that program and you've really built it into something that you can take a lot of pride in. And we've talked a little bit before this about how you've changed maybe the culture and the attitude. And so, you know, maybe you can speak to what it was like to win the Reach the Beach tournament for the first time, and then what it's been like maintaining that culture of excellence for the past few years.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we have a great filter program coming up. And when I first came in 7 years ago, we really had to like revamp everything, and it was a little hard of a transition for our team. But now with my assistant coach, who actually cheered for me my first year coaching, which was awesome, having her there to really build up the program and getting it to like where it is and the true culture of what we're looking for to be successful has been great. It's something that I really truly take pride in, but it's really the athletes that I have, the parents that I have, our booster club, our support that has truly turned everything around and made it so much better. So it's really nice, and it's nice to see, especially when we won 2 years ago for the first time. It was an unreal feeling, and then doing that again this year was great. It's really something that you'll always remember, and I hope the kids do too, especially with everything going on. I know it meant a lot to them.
Well, I want to make sure that our attendees feel comfortable asking questions. So we've got the GoToWebinar control panel through which all of our attendees can submit questions to ask either Coach O'Connor, Coach Jones, me, all three of us. None of us just opine and type in there whatever you want. But please ask questions if you want to know about their, you know, their season, their experience, their fundraiser, whatever it is. I'm happy to ask them that. And so, Coach Jones, obviously your program is dominant as well. And I was pouring through social media looking at your trip out to Long Beach when you won Palms and Pyramids. How great of a trip was that for you and your squad, and winning and Disneyland and everything? How great was it?
It was amazing. We had been working really hard for, I don't even know, our first competition of the season was in November. And due to some squad changes, we had to redo our routine up until the day before we left, which was really cool because my seniors at that time stepped up and helped choreograph a new cheer, a new dance, kind of everything. So we went up to California a little bit nervous, not really knowing exactly what was going to happen. We'd never been to the Jamz competition before. And so we enjoyed Disney, we enjoyed Universal, but still we had that nervousness coming in. And the girls and our boys killed it. They did amazing. They walked out on the floor and left everything. That was the last time they ever performed that routine. And even before winning, it was just incredible to see every single thing hit. And then, of course, watching them win their banners was awesome. It was amazing. It was a great end to the year, especially now with this circumstance. To kind of leave it on that note is awesome.
Was it Britney Spears?
I wish. My kids know that I'm completely obsessed with Britney Spears. They don't always get it because obviously they're a little bit younger than me, but if I could have a Britney Spears pep rally, I think it would be the best thing ever.
There we go. I like that. Coach O'Connor, you sprinkle any Britney into your routines?
You know what's really funny? Our whole entire routine this year, our music was Britney Spears themed.
Yes, I love
the whole thing. You were talking about, I'm like, Coach would love this. Our whole entire thing was Britney Spears themed, and it was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. So that just like made my day by you saying that.
Nice. Well, Coach O'Connor, what's the routines going to look like this year? I don't know a ton about, you know, programming routines and how you guys do it. I know they're up tempo, spirited, tons of energy, but I guess what's the key to Coach O'Connor to designing a championship routine, and what have you found to be successful in your past?
So every single year, we actually work with our All-Star program that is right in town. We're lucky enough, some people drive 2 hours just to get to that All-Star program, and they actually choreograph our entire routine. We work with one instructor who is there at Star Athletics in Boonton, New Jersey. Robbie, he is phenomenal. He works with NCA, and we've known him for at least 5 years. We met him at NCA camp a few years ago down at Rowan University in New Jersey. And from there, he choreographs everything starting in September, and we have him throughout the entire season when we're done the last week in February. So it's really like us collaborating, thinking about what we need to maximize our score sheet every single year. And we do that together collectively, and it's been phenomenal. So hopefully we'll just keep it up and keep it going, and look forward to that again this fall.
Shout out to Robbie.
Yeah, he's the best.
Coach Jones, what about you? You know a little bit about winning championships yourself. How have you found you've been able to put together a winning routine?
Well, in the past, we've done All-Star Cheer, which has been great because a bunch of my team members do competitive cheerleading on the side, and they have a great background. So a lot of our knowledge does come from our cheerleaders. Going forward, we're going to kind of go down the route of game day competitions, which is something that we have not done before. It's a big push with our district to compete in the UIL competition and also NCA. So this year it's going to be exciting to see what we come up with, what the girls come up with to kind of change it, go back to the game day old school cheering and signs and banners. And yeah, we're really excited about it. We think it'll kind of correlate with our game day performances as well.
Sure. And you said it's a push from the district. Do you have a lot of support from them and from your high school in trying to really galvanize this new movement?
Our district, Spring Branch ISD, is absolutely amazing. Our coordinator at the district for cheerleading, Leslie Wiley, she just stepped in December, and she is amazing. She really has kind of taken cheer under her wing. And our other coaches, we have 4 schools in our district. Our principals, our cheer coaches, everyone is super supportive of this whole team spirit thing. So super grateful.
And Coach Jones, with your fundraising experience, you got a lot of support from your community. Unsurprisingly, everyone's behind you and you got a lot of buy-in. So I know that there are costs and everything associated with running a top-notch program. I guess you can maybe touch on your past fundraising experience and then what it's been like with Snap Race.
So in the past, one of our biggest fundraisers is going and asking for sponsorships in our community, local businesses. Most of the time they know our cheerleaders, and the girls get dressed up and go in and ask for sponsorships that way. And with this virus, we knew that that was not going to be possible. So thinking of ways to do something different, Travis helped with this, and I mean, I had great faith in my kids and my parents for sure, but seeing the results, my expectations are out the roof. It's crazy. To see grandparents and aunts and uncles and teachers and old coaches and teachers from our high school, our principals, donate to the kids to help them out is just incredible. And watching the cheer wall and the messages that they leave them is really, really special. So.
Who was the most obscure or random person you got a donation from? Can you think of someone who's just like, how did they find me? Like, yes. How did they land on this page? Who do you got?
So apparently, Snoop Doggy Dog donated on behalf of one of my senior cheerleaders, Grace, and I would love to know how she knows Snoop Dogg, but very grateful for this donation to our cheerleading program.
Sure, I get that. Well, at least rapping the lyrics. So
exactly.
Coach O'Connor, you've worked with us for 4 years now, and so you've got a little bit more experience interacting with us. What did you do prior to working with us, and how did you find your fundraiser to go during the coronavirus era?
Yeah, so prior to like 4 years ago, a few other programs in our high school are actually using Snap Raise and were telling me about the success that they had. And I was like, absolutely, cheerleading is a very expensive sport, and a lot of people do not know that at all. Just to kickstart, we have 62 girls in our program, and it's about $10,000 just for all of their gear, uniforms, apparel, bows, whatever you want to name it, just for our apparel to get started for the season is around that every single year. So this has been so successful for us. Going into this 4th year, we started a little bit earlier in March, thinking with my new baby that everything was going to work out perfect and not starting it in May this year. And then with coronavirus and everything occurring, when I was working with Chris, going back and forth and everything, we're like, you know what, let's do it. We'll come together as a community, as our district, all our parents. We had great support backing us. Everybody was ready to go for it, and it really showed when there's tough times going on in people's lives, how people can truly come together. And it was phenomenal again this year, and even better than previous years. It was one of our top years, so we can't complain at all. We are so happy and thankful for everything, for everybody from Snap Raise, and then to all of our parents and everybody in our community who really pushed through and made this happen for us for the fall and winter seasons. It's been great.
Awesome. We've got a question here from OJ Balgos, who's a coach at Silver Creek High School in San Jose, California, asking you, Coach Jones, what your Jamz experience was like. What did you think about the score sheet, and what did you think about the production and the staff of the competition?
Well, It was different than we're used to. Being in California, we're used to Texas, but it was great. We had a really great time. We got to see teams that we usually wouldn't. I'm pretty sure we were the only Texas team, which was interesting. But it was different. The score sheets were a little different than what we're used to, which kind of made us nervous coming in and reading them, that we maybe weren't as prepared as we thought we were. But we were really happy with the score that we got. We think that the kids did as best as they could based off of learning the score sheet online. But yeah, it was definitely a different experience for my kids that have competed for a long time. They've traveled to Texas and Georgia and Florida, but not California. So I'm glad that we got that experience.
I'm from San Diego, so California is near and dear to me. And you said it was a little different. I was taking offense to it, but I think we landed.
Not bad at all. It was just a challenge.
I got you. Well, it sounded good, and obviously you didn't let that get in the way of you winning. So that's something to be said for that. Coach O'Connor got a question from Marissa Coombs in Kentucky, and she says, "This will be my school's first year getting into competition. What would be your best tip or advice as a coach for starting a competition squad?" She says, "As you can imagine, I'm super nervous, so I'm looking to get more information and guidance." So what do you have to say there?
Well, it just depends. I kind of go off of my fall program. I coach both fall football season, and we have 62 girls there. And then we kind of break it down into 26. That's my magic number to kind of get started. It depends every single year. I always look at the skills first, and how we're going to maximize the score sheet to be successful for the kids, to move forward. That's a biggest tip that I could give you, to put yourself in the right division for your team. And for all of your teammates there, because that's what you need more than anything for them to be successful, not throw them in a division where they do not have the skills at all, because that's difficult when I see that sometimes with people who we're against. Make sure they're in a good division, make sure that they have all their skills, and kind of go from there and just be positive. The first few years can be very difficult, but once you get to about year 3 or 4 and you start to get in a groove and you have a great group of support behind you, it gets easier, I promise you. Because I know in the beginning for me, it was a little bit difficult to get that support, but once people see that you know what you're doing and you can be successful and you're positive, it makes it a lot easier.
Coach Jones, anything to add there? Surely you've got some expertise and insights that way.
Yes, and I totally agree. The divisions are huge. And also, I love how you pick a number. We've kind of gone back and forth in making it a requirement for every single cheerleader in our program to be on the team. Not every single cheerleader is as passionate as they are towards game day as they are towards competition cheer. Definitely seen some success in having the kids kind of try out or choose if it's something they're interested in, more so than just grouping everyone together. It helps you be more competitive, and you can kind of decide, especially if you're doing a tryout, what skills you want to be in the division that you're most competitive at.
Well, I'm going to want to bring in Travis Cox, who worked with you on your fundraiser, so that he can validate and reaffirm kind of how awesome you are and how great you are to work with, and how you've got your things figured out and your I's dotted and T's crossed. So Travis, I guess this is, he's our rep for Austin, but he was working with your group in Houston. And so Travis, I appreciate you hopping on, and maybe you can tell the cheerleading world just a little bit about how great Coach Jones is.
Well, thank you, JT. Thanks for having me. Honestly, this process, I think for everyone, for both the coaches, for everyone that's kind of jumped in, has just been different than the original. Coach O'Connor can talk about it with the years past. It's different when you do it all online than when we actually come out in person. So it really kind of started for both Coach Jones and I to really kind of start communicating and figuring out the best approach for us. How are we going to handle this? How are we going to communicate together? How are we going to get it to the team and the girls and the one guy and everything from there? So it really just started fresh, and just Coach Jones's energy behind wanting to run a great campaign, listening to kind of what I said and everything that I preached is how we're going to make this the most successful campaign. And then just taking it to the team and reiterating it to them and talking about this has a lot of potential. We just have to follow these easy kind of simple steps. But without them, it's not going to be what we hope this campaign will be. So I give a lot of credit to her. Obviously, we do this day in and day out, but our coaches are the ones that really got to go, especially during what we're running now, and communicate this to their team. So a lot of credit to Coach Jones and being able to do that. And that's kind of obviously been shown in how much we've raised.
And you said that as soon as you asked her to do something or you told her that you needed something from her, she was like back at it, like immediately, like high priority, urgency, took it really serious. And I mean, they're over $18,000 so far, and their fundraiser's not even done. So how has she been as a group leader to work with? You've worked with hundreds. You technically were #1 in our company last year and #1 in power rankings at the end of the year, and went to the Super Bowl and were celebrated by our company for being so awesome. But talk about how awesome Coach Jones was to work with.
You're too kind. Well, you know, it's kind of a funny joke that always, when you text someone, right, you can sit there iPhone to iPhone and kind of wait for the 3 bubbles to pop up. Coach Jones is pretty good at making those appear pretty quickly. And that always to me it just showed the excitement behind the campaign and how eager she was to make the best it possibly could be. And when we run these campaigns as a rep, we're taught the most important parts are preparation. What are you going to do in the weeks prior to when this campaign actually launches? If you show up to a campaign and there's 40% of the kids with 20 of their emails in, and we're going to launch this campaign, you know, maybe that's not the best time. And Coach Jones and I figured that out. When is a good time? How much time is enough time to allow these kids to put their emails in? And then once that started, I think I talk about this a lot on our company calls. I do it with every coach that I work with, is just communication in general, over communicating. We set little things and I use them daily. I always text her with little emojis and exclamation points of like, it's texting Tuesday. So let's try to send 10 text messages out. It's Facebook Fridays. Let's get our link on Facebook. All those little things just to provide as much joy and excitement behind the campaign, so they know they're not alone. And she 100% has backed that, has taken what I said and pushed it out, and has, you know, little goals as the goal bar increases in our campaigns. She's pushing to the next goal. Like you said, we're at 18,000 right now, almost 18,500, and we have a goal by end of week to be at 20,000. So we just continue to push each other, which is awesome. And I want to make this campaign the best possible for her in the upcoming season.
Coach Jones, what do you, I guess, attribute the success to? We've talked about the strength of the community. Certainly, Travis is a guy who I personally like, and you seem to get along with well. What's worked best for you here, and you know, how are you going to get to 20K, I guess?
Well, thank you, Travis, for everything. It has been way too easy. Everything has been super prepared, and the communication between us and my team has helped this really be easy. To be able to sit at home and watch it grow is crazy awesome. But a huge shout out to my parents, my cheer parents, and my kids, of course. But I have a group of super supportive parents that understand that in this circumstance, it's going to be hard to finance things, not just personally, but for a team as a whole. And they really have worked together to get really good contacts and explain to them exactly what this is going towards. And that's exactly why we see this big number, is definitely them expressing their excitement for this program and for cheerleading. And to have so many new cheerleaders that have actually never cheered on our sidelines before, and have them work so hard to raise this money is just incredible. So super proud of them.
All right, Coach, we got to make you put your name on it. You know, how are you going to get to 20 grand by the end of the week? I mean, what are you going to do to get that, you know, the final push? Like, give me the cheer, enthusiasm, motivation, positivity.
Well, I'm very annoying. As my little dots pop up, I do the same thing to them, and they're probably like, oh my gosh, I'm ready for this to be over, so Coach Jones, stop blowing up my phone about this fundraiser. But I think one big thing is just being so excited to see each other. Offering a party or a pool day or a pizza party, something like that, if we reach 20,000 is kind of where my brain's at right now. Not bribing, exciting them. So something fun to look forward to in the future, on top of the success of this awesome campaign.
And Travis, you've worked with a lot of great group leaders, a lot of great campaigns. I guess, what has set this apart from the other ones? I mean, what is the formula to running a successful fundraiser, and how was Coach Jones and Stratford Cheer able to do that in their first year?
This started from our first conversation when I was on the phone with her outside of a Krispy Kreme donuts, just catching up, basically asking her about the campaign, asking her what she was, you know, interested, what their money goals were, how we would approach it during all these things. And her answers to every question, like I said, just brought the excitement of wanting to run this and get this thing going. And then her talking about the kids and how they're going to push. And then just like I said, I know I'm an over communicator. She may get tired of all my text messages, but I just kind of continue to push and know that the more I do, the more I can communicate and help our group leaders, the more that this campaign will benefit. And so it was just all in that preparation. And then from there, it's just communicating and continue to push. 28 days doesn't seem like a long time, but during it, it can kind of, last longer than you think. So it's like, let's keep taking advantage of the 6 days we have left. So I do think 20,000 is in our reach. And I know you've mentioned some numbers to me, JT, about being tops in the company for a campaign. So I'm going to keep pushing to be the best I can at that too. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Coach Jones, what were your goals or your thoughts early on? What were your aspirations? Did you have any numbers in mind or costs you were looking to cover specifically?
Yes, and we have definitely passed it. One thing that we do offer, especially right now, is a partial scholarship for our cheerleaders. We like to cover 50% of their uniform costs if they are in a financial bind and their parents need a little extra help. We want everybody to cheer. We do not want finances to hold kids back. And so doing that, especially right now when people are losing their jobs, it kind of looks scary of how we were going to support that with our money that we currently had in the booster club. So I was just trying to brainstorm anything that we could do from afar to support our booster club to have those funds for our kids. So I was thinking much, much smaller of how many kids might need support. We've definitely surpassed that. We have been able to support those kids and we have uniforms on the way. I keep getting pieces of them every day, so it's really exciting. But now our goal has definitely gotten bigger. We do an annual trip every year that usually revolves around a cheer competition. So thinking of all of the things that we can provide our cheerleaders this year, especially since they've missed so much in the first part of their cheer journey, is just incredible. To think that we have the opportunity to do more team building, to provide new mats, to provide new materials is just awesome.
And we've got another question just asking about how you use the funds that you raise, and is it mainly for competition? Are uniforms paid for at the beginning of the season? You touched on some of that, but would you mind just elaborating and adding any additional insight, Coach Jones?
Sure. So this will go directly to our booster club, and they run our, sorry, my dog is sneezing. They run our finances. So we do order our uniforms in the beginning of the year. We kind of split it in 2 payments. That way we can get it's Texas, it's hot. Our cold gear, we usually wait a little bit closer to football season to order that. But competition fees, travel fees, team dinners, that's a big thing that we do. We have dinners before each game. Also at our school, we support our cheerleaders. My dog is really jumping on me, and their travel fees. So traveling to competitions, traveling to games, flags, signs, banners, anything that goes along with our cheer program. So we try to break it out throughout the year so it's not all at once, but it's kind of a challenge sometimes, just depending on when stuff comes in and when our events are, especially right now when nothing is planned quite yet.
I have found cheer coaches to be masterful multitaskers. So the fact that you could deal with a dog jumping on you while answering a question, I mean, the number of kids that want your attention at the same time undoubtedly is like overwhelming. Coach O'Connor, anything to add to that about raising money, what you spend it on, if it's for competition, if you order uniforms at the beginning of the season?
No, Coach is right on. There's a lot that comes with cheerleading. I feel a lot of people don't understand. I said that before, but it's between all of our uniforms, our practice gear, buses to and from our big competitions that we go to for nationals, flying if that is in the cards, along with like hotel fees, just so that none of our athletes have to worry about that whatsoever. So, and also with our music too. Our music is a lot as well, with all licensing fees and everything that they've now added on. Our choreography, our girls go to tumbling twice a week, so we have to pay for that as well. And a mat time that we pay for at the All-Star Gym. It's a lot on our booster club. And when you look at it at the end of the year, you're like, wow, we had fundraised that much and that's how much everything was. And I don't believe it. And I know a lot of people, other coaches don't get it either once they see all the fees that we actually have. Cheerleading's no joke.
Well, I've got one more question for Travis before we talk to Chris Mannon, who helped you with your campaign, Coach O'Connor. But Travis, you've worked with a ton of coaches, and so obviously you know what a good coach looks like. What have you experienced? What are some common traits across great group leaders in how they run their program, and then how they're successful with their fundraisers?
I mean, you can tell right away with how they interact with their kids and their players. When players love their coaches, that's going to be a huge sign to you that they're going to do what that coach tells them to do. They're going to listen. They're going to want to do exactly what they tell them. Like I said, what they tell them to. But my big thing is is drive. Do they have a drive to succeed in what they're doing? Whether that's a competition, whether that's day in and day out with classes, school, pushing a kid through something that they may not think they can overcome, all that type of stuff. And that's just going to transition into campaigns that we run. If you have a drive with your day-to-day, and coaches usually do, a large majority of them do, then you're going to get to a campaign and you're going to think of it like a competition as well and want to succeed. And that goal bar may be set at $5,000 when we first start, and your head is already thinking about $10,000 because you want to make this the best it possibly can be. So I give a lot of our coaches credit, the ones that we work with. They're really great. They're great listeners is another big thing, but they push us to be, the best we can be so that we can make their seasons and get all those things you guys mentioned for their upcoming seasons, and so they can have a great year.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, Travis, and you're the man. You already know that. But thanks for hopping on and sharing your wisdom.
Much love. Thank you, coaches. Appreciate it. You guys have a good rest of your week.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to have Chris on to talk about fundraising in a different part of the country. So Travis and Coach Jones are down there in the great state of Texas, the Lone Star State, but we've got the Garden State up there in New Jersey, and Chris has worked with us for a couple years and really runs all sorts of great campaigns. I've gone out there with him to see how it's done, and he's got great relationships with group leaders, and Coach O'Connor is no exception. So Mr. Mannon, if you might indulge the audience to talk about what makes Coach O'Connor so great and how much you've enjoyed working with her.
Sure, absolutely. First off, JT, thank you for bringing me on. I appreciate it, my man. I've worked with Coach O'Connor for 4 campaigns now. So we've built a great relationship over the years, and she just knows what to do. I mean, even the first time we met, the first campaign we ever ran, she was very vocal, willing to listen, take my direction, and her girls listen. Her girls listen to anything she says. I can't say enough good things about Coach O'Connor. She's just been a tremendous, awesome person to work with. And as we like to say at Snap, is the perfect example of a champion coach. So yeah.
Well, in talking with her previously, we did a podcast episode with Coach O'Connor, and was just great at holding her athletes accountable, great at engaging the community, explaining the why behind, what we were doing from a fundraising standpoint. And Coach O'Connor's timing of her campaign was a little bit sooner, but kind of right when coronavirus happened, the needs for funds were there, and Coach O'Connor decided to run the fundraiser and almost raised $13,000. And so, Coach, I'm sure that there's still uncertainty in a lot of communities, at a lot of schools around what the future looks like, but maybe you can go over what your messaging was like to your parents and how you were able to have such a successful fundraiser, especially in really the height of the coronavirus concern.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, Chris. You're the best. I really appreciate everything you do. Secondly, when we started everything, we actually had our meetings in January. So kind of worked out where everybody had an idea what we were doing in January and February. And then once this hit in March, it was kind of like, well, everyone knows we have support. Should we do this? And I was going back and forth with Chris along with our athletic director in our district, and they said, all's a go. Let's do it. Everyone, you have great support. Everyone knows for the past 2 months. So let's see where this is going to take us. And we did that, and especially during probably the hardest time of it all, when it all happened and school was just transitioning, ending, and it was kind of crazy that mid-March there throughout our whole campaign. Really, I said it before, we rallied together and everybody helped each other. And more than anything, that showed with our fundraiser. And it was exactly what we needed, I think, at that time, is something to look forward to more than anything. So I think that was our driving force throughout the entire campaign.
And Chris, you worked with Bloomfield Baseball and some other campaigns that have raised a similarly impressive amount of money. I guess, what are some of the similarities that you see across successful campaigns that are raising money even in spite of coronavirus?
Well, to start, making sure that the wording and communication in all these campaigns. So before we ever decided to move forward with it, conversations I had with Coach O'Connor, conversations I had with the Bloomfield baseball coach, all started with just the guidance of what we need to do in order to make sure anybody involved, from athletic directors, people in the Mustang Association, people, the parents, very important to make sure that they're bought in and they understand why we're doing it now, and really communicating. Like Travis said prior, overly communicating to everybody involved in this. So that's step one. And then really making sure that within the page itself too, we're being ultra conscious and sensitive to the wording that goes out to people at this time, letting them know that we have to raise money for what's to come, you know, for the season ahead, while also understanding people are going through different things at this time. So that's a huge thing. Communication, making sure everything is transparent, the wording is correct, and just sure that there's a correct message that's going out to everybody.
Coach O'Connor, how useful was Chris in navigating kind of the uncertainty of the climate and how you're going to execute it in the best way possible to serve your team?
Made it really easy, honestly, throughout. I mean, I've known Chris since the 4th year working with him. This was a totally different scenario. So we had to take it as it came, but communication was huge between us, and we were just trying to figure out exactly how we were going to word everything to get everything out so it's so transparent. So between different video conferences that I had to have, I would talk to him first, then I would talk to my parents and talk to my athletes, along with different remind texts that would go out, a ton of emails that would go out. He made it very simple and easy to make sure that we were getting it all started and on the right foot. So it made it very simple and easy.
And Chris, I hope you don't mind me sharing, but actually having received coronavirus yourself during this instance and you know, being quarantined and going through all that, what was your experience like, you know, actually encountering the virus and then overcoming it like a champion?
Well, it wasn't fun. It wasn't the worst thing ever, but it was a challenge for sure. I definitely had all the symptoms that everyone's talking about, not to dive too deep into it, but didn't feel great for a period of time, fatigued, had to fight through it, rest up. But I thought it was a really awesome, like, seeing the silver lining within it. I thought it was a really awesome opportunity to work with a team like yours during this, to see the value in it, you know, after actually going through it, fighting the virus, beating it, and then being able to run some virtual campaigns and help some teams in the process, kind of gave me a new found respect for the social distancing right now, our new virtual process and setting it up. So it was cool. It was really cool to do. And I was extremely excited for you to be the first virtual remote campaign. So I wanted to highlight that at our company. And then the trust too that I had going into it, like knowing this was going to be a grand slam, with having 3 years prior of really successful campaigns, on average raising over $12,000, was really, really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, and Coach O'Connor, maybe you can just talk to maybe how surprised you were or what your emotions were, the fact that traditionally we had run campaigns in person for you, but running it remotely, it achieved similar success at the height of the coronavirus concern. I mean, was that surprising to you?
A little bit, but at the same time, I thought we had a nice foundation, a little bit from the previous years, along with the first 2 months, January, February, before this happened in March. Thankfully, I was pregnant at that time, so I was going on maternity leave in March. So it was going to happen regardless. But I think we had a really nice foundation going into it. It was a little bit uneasy, and I stressed that to Chris a little bit before we got started. And I was praying that, hey, hopefully these numbers will just push through. And once I saw that the first 3 days, I was taken back completely. It was exactly what we needed. So it was really great to see.
Awesome. Well, Chris, I appreciate you, speaking to Coach O'Connor's greatness. I want to make sure that our attendees and people on the webinar know just how impressive these coaches are and how great they are at running the fundraisers. But the traits that make them great at running the fundraisers are also the traits that make them great at running their teams and their squads and leading them to championships. So thanks for hopping on with us today. Really appreciate you, Chris.
Of course. Thank you for the opportunity. Nice talking with you, coaches.
Hi, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so I guess I want to, kind of wrap up maybe with what the future looks like and what you guys are expecting from your squad this upcoming season. So Coach Jones, 2020 Texas is starting to, feel the energy and kind of get back in the swing of things. What's the coming year going to look like?
So the big question right now is cheer camp. That's the closest thing in the future. We had a really nice camp planned in Galveston to go to the beach and do cheer with NCA. But after speaking to my assistant coach and our principal and my captains, without having any spring practice, we kind of determined that even if we were able to do something like that, we're not quite ready yet. So instead of doing that, we are hosting an at-home NCA camp. And the coolest part about it is the other schools in our district are going to join us. So we have never had a district-wide cheer camp or even a practice together. So we're really excited to stay safe, but also kind of get to know our neighbors more. So that will be in July, and girls and boy, they're looking forward to it so much. We finally have something on the schedule.
And I'd like you maybe to shout out the male gender. I'm a little biased. How is your boy on your squad? I mean, I have to imagine he's cut from an outstanding cloth, and he's a great participant on your team. So how do you give him some love?
He is the best. His name is Shalik. We had another male cheerleader that just graduated who is also amazing. He's going to be trying out for the University of Texas Co-ed Cheer, so good luck to him. His name is Connor. But back to Shalik. This is his 3rd year on varsity. This young man is an incredible tumbler. He has so much spirit. I don't think he's ever missed a cheer practice in his entire life, much less complained at cheer practice. Cheer is everything to him. So he's definitely our shining star. Love him to death. He makes our team. So I don't know what we're going to do when he graduates. It's going to be very sad. I hope he goes and cheers somewhere else. He's just awesome.
And you send quite a few athletes on to cheer collegiately, don't you? I mean, I've seen all sorts all over the state of Texas, but
Yes.
yeah, that's well done.
Yes, they are awesome. They're very competitive, but we have one at Baylor right now, one at UT, one at Sam Houston, hopefully another one at UT, and that's just from the last couple of years. So I hope that they keep the trend of wanting to cheer in college because they are amazing.
For sure. Coach O'Connor, your upcoming season now, you've got a child, you've got the obligations of the cheerleading squad coaching in front of you, and then also teaching. So what are you anticipating this upcoming season to be like for you?
Very similar to Coach. We're actually changed ours to a home NCA camp. So looking forward to that. We hope that it's in July. Just waiting for the okay from our athletics. It's a little bit different up here in the East Coast with everything going on, being so close to New York City and everything. So hopefully we're praying that will be in person, please, because we've been doing a lot of video conferences for our practices and our workouts, trying to make the best of everything. Hopefully that doesn't carry over into July and August. And kicking off our season, hopefully that end of July, moving into August, and then fall, we'll start off in September 5th, our first home opener. So we hope that all happens and occurs, please. Fingers crossed.
Well, I really appreciate you guys sharing your experience fundraising with us and how you've maintained your sanity and kept engaged with your team during coronavirus. Obviously, if anyone needs help fundraising for teams, groups, and clubs, that's definitely what we do, and that's part of our mission with supporting the teams, groups, and clubs that we work with through SnapRaise Live. We want to support cheer groups, baseball, field hockey, everyone. So we've got upcoming webinars to try and continue to be a resource to our group leaders, and it's a priority for us to make sure that they get help that way. So next week on Wednesday, Hall of Fame coach Michelle Madison at University of Virginia will be joining us, and then 2018 MLB All-Star Mitch Haniger, the outfielder for the Seattle Mariners, will be joining us on Thursday. So we look forward to having them as well. So any final thoughts, Coach Jones? Anything else you'd like to add before we depart?
Just thank you to you guys. You really have helped us so much, and I'm super excited that this came to fruition with Travis, and super grateful for you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate you. It is definitely a two-way street, and there's mutual appreciation there. Coach O'Connor, any final words?
I can't agree more. I'm so thankful for everything going on, for you guys always being there, going on to year 4 and definitely going into year 5 and so on and so forth. Thank you for having me on here as well, for supporting my athletes and our community. And thank you, Chris, for continuing to work with me every single year and making it really easy. So thank you guys so much.
You guys are awesome. Here's to many more championships at Reach the Beach or Jamz or anywhere else. And good luck with the upcoming season, and stay safe. Take care.
Thank you so much, JT.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.